Clement with Kathy by Design, and I'm glad you could join me here today. This is my project for the latest challenge at the Frilly and Funky blog, which is sponsored by the Funky Junky Boutique. And it was to be spring inspired with flowers and all the things that you find in the spring. So I wanted to do another little boxed album. I am loving these, and this time, I'll just set this aside, this time I used the brand new Eileen Hull treasure box die with her notebook die, and cut these from mat board. You can find both of those at the Funky Junky Boutique. And to dress it up, I used Stamperia Spring Botanic, which is, I have to say, one of my favorite spring collections ever. Just stunning imagery, patterns, the colors, bugs, tulips, I mean, everything we love about spring. So that's the paper. And then I also use these new Seth Apter baked velvet embossing powders, which are amazing. So let's go ahead and look at the project. This is the front of the box. And as you can see, I've dressed it up with these designer papers. This is a chipboard piece I had in my stash. And this is where I used these embossing powders to color this, and the finish is beautiful. Then I just tapped on a little gold paint. This is actually a button that I've had in my stash forever, pulled it out to use it. And of course the little legs from the Funky Junky Boutique, which I also used these baked velvet embossing powders to color those. It's really cool on metal. I actually love it. A little bit of Venice lace, and here's a quick tip. This was white, and I know that you all know how to dye, tea dye, but I did not tea dye. I took my antique linen re-inker, which the cap on my original bottle broke, so I put it in here. I put a few drops of that in a plastic bag with the lace, squished it around. My fingers didn't get messy, and look how the lace turned out. It's perfectly aged. So that's a really handy tip that you can use. On the top, I've used a bunch of Prima flowers, which you can also find in the Funky Junky Boutique, and this lovely little bee metal charm, which again, I altered with these powders and just then at the end tapped on a little ivory chalk paint. This is champagne wrinkled ribbon from Really Reasonable Ribbon, and these are Tim Holtz corners that I've also treated with the embossing powders and added here. So the box is really lovely all the way around. The little hinges come with the box. It's very easy to assemble. I have some assembly photos in a tutorial that follows. So inside, this is what I really love about this box. It will hold the notebook. So I built, and you know how I feel about little books, and here's the finished inside. Really lovely and shabby chic. I had a lot of fun putting this together, and I can't wait to make another one soon. This is a Tim Holtz ornate frame, also altered with these same embossing powders. The colors are just perfect for this paper collection. A little dragonfly charm that I also altered. And I created a canvas wrapped spine, and then just, this is a Prima resin that I've altered again with the powders. I'm telling you guys, these are great because you can use Versamark embossing powder, or you can do what I did. I just put a quick coat of distress paint down, and while the paint was wet, sprinkled on my powders, and boom, it was done. And the finish, can you see? It's not all shiny. It's matte, and it's got like a slight hint of texture. It's really beautiful. I just love it. I used a bunch of Tim Holtz rub-ons in this, and then this ribbon, we'll just move all this stuff out of the way. This ribbon unties. It's just got a wrapped ribbon closure. I was going for very shabby chic. Kept this one real simple, but it is so beautiful. Oops, this is supposed to be tied. I was taking photos right before I made this, but this ties. This is one of the long pieces from the collection, and this is such a fun thing to do. Score it and turn it into like a little envelope, and then add it in as a feature, as an interactive feature to an album. I love that Stamperia has all sorts of just wonderful little extra items in their paper packs that you can use to alter. Now, this is not a mini album in the sense of photos. This is a lookbook or a lap book. It's meant to set out as an art book as part of your home decor, on a coffee table. So these little metal corners are from Funky Junky. I've done a torn paper edge, and I went through some of my favorite quotes and poems about spring, printed them out on paper, cut them up, and added them in here. So that's what this is all about. These pages I cut with the notebook die. Then I cut up the middle, joined them together to make them not quite as wide, stitched up the middle of each one to create, I'll show you here, a signature, and then adhered the signature into the chipboard cover. It was very easy binding. And I'll try to do another one of these as a tutorial so you can see how that came together. But I added in pockets, just simple pockets made by cutting the paper a few inches longer or wider than the base page. And then look at this snail. He's my favorite. And this little rub-on adventure awaits. I love this snail, so I featured him through here quite a lot, actually. Tulips. And all this distressing and stuff, that's on the paper, people. I didn't do any of that, but no one will know if you don't tell them. This is just a simple look page. This doesn't open or do anything. It's just tied with a ribbon, observations, just to be pretty. And then I created some flip pages. And again, these are done. You just cut your paper a little bit wider. Here's my snail again. I used, actually I had two of these. I've started buying Stamperia in 2s, sometimes 3s, sometimes 4s. Shh, so embarrassing, but I love this paper. So I used the twin images, and this is a Robert Frost poem about spring that I especially love, and just put a part on one page, part on the other, then a little tulip tag tucked in there. If you wanted to, you could tuck other little things in here. Here's just a little scrap of pink burlap. Just cut out a little image, added a button. Such an easy page, but oh so pretty. Here's a little torn bug. I just tore the paper, added him to the pocket. Little tiny scraps of this paper can be used to create borders on pockets, borders down the side of a page. Here is one of the images. I've added a Tim Holtz paper doll, rub-ons, and it looks like she's standing on the butterfly, which I love. And then this just slips in that little pocket. And then here's another flip out page. Now this is from the cover art, and it's only a partial image, but it's perfect to add on this flap as a turn. And this is Tim Holtz Botanical Ephemera. And then inside, this is a poem by E.E. Cummings, who I also love. And then my little snail, again, inside a little tiny folio with another quote about spring and flowers. Pretty. I just love how this turned out. I know, I'm bragging on myself, but it's okay. And then here's another little quote, beautiful papers. This is a Tim Holtz Botanical Ephemera, a little cutout image from the paper. I'll just read you this quote by Mark Twain. I think we can all relate this year because it's been such a hard winter. It is spring fever. That is what the name of it is. And when you've got it, you don't know quite what it is you do want, but it just fairly makes your heart ache. You want it so. So I thought that was perfect for this little book. And then the final page is just beautiful paper. I left room to write something in by hand, and then back here you could put a photo if you wanted to. I didn't fill this completely. I kind of liked, I don't know, I liked the simplicity of it with this very ornate box. I just wanted to keep the book very simple. So I have another simple text and photo tutorial to follow, just showing you a few little tips and things. It's not a complete tutorial by any means, but it's enough that I think you can probably get the idea of how to put all of this together. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love to have you along for the journey. I share a lot of creative ideas here, and I really enjoy interacting with each one of you. So stick around for the tutorial. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm going to go get my craft on. Bye.